All right, welcome to the 72nd edition of the Sports Mashup. August 10th, 2022 is today's date. We'll start in the NBA where Kevin Durant still a story. He tells the Nets governor Joe Tsai to trade him or fire Steve Nash, the head coach, and the general manager Sean Marks. And Tsai responds by pretty much throwing his support behind the front office and coaching staff. So bit of an ugly situation. I don't know how this ends. I think I see a scenario where he's traded much more than the firing of the head coach and general manager. I don't think they're going to pick a 34-year-old player over a head coach and a general manager that they clearly believe in. I don't see that happening. It's just about the price for a trade and the team willing to do it.
What exactly is a governor of a team?
It's the
First time I've
owner.
heard that.
It's the owner. They renamed it or whatever. Owner was not politically correct, I guess they believed. I don't know.
And just in the NBA?
Yeah. Same thing as an owner. So,
and then it comes down to it, like, are the Nets asking for way too much for Kevin Durant? If they can't, they've sent so many, offered so many trades. Like at one point they tried getting Tatum and Jaylen Brown from the Celtics, and they were like, no. Then they tried getting Brown, Smart, and multiple first-round picks. No. Like, is he worth that?
I almost compare this to the Juan Soto situation in terms of the Nationals had a price and they didn't negotiate for a long time. Like, if anybody came even close to that price, then they might negotiate with them. I think that's what the Nets are doing. Their price is extremely high, and they're not going to negotiate until you get close to that price.
No, now, at least Soto's young.
Yeah, Kevin Durant does have 4 years on his deal, so that's a big factor here. But I think there's a lot of concerns on the side of Kevin Durant for teams to be worried about trading for him. And I don't know who the team is going to be that steps up to the plate. I mean, I have no clue who it's going to be now because I don't think the Suns have the ammo to do it unless the price they just are forced to trade him and they don't get as much back as they expect. That's the only way I see a team like Phoenix or Miami jumping in. And I know Philadelphia was mentioned as a team KD would go to, Boston as well. I don't see those teams. Like, I don't see the Sixers trading what it's going to take, pretty much their entire core around Harden and Embiid to get Durant. I don't see that happening. I don't really see the Celtics trading Jaylen Brown and a bunch of other assets for him.
No, and I think I saw one mystery trade. It was like Durant to Portland, Ben Simmons to Golden State. Then the Nets receiving like 6 or 8 players and multiple picks.
If you're Golden State, you hang up the phone immediately because there's no point.
No, that's what I'm saying. It was some like mystery trade that like, and then the Nets, they can't take all those players. So then what? You only gave up 2 and you're getting 8 back. Like, you don't have that many roster spots.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting situation. I do lean towards him getting traded, but I think there's going to be a lot that has to happen between now and the preseason for that to go down. So we'll see what happens there with Durant.
And then the NBA came out and said all players must be vaxxed to play in Canada. So anytime you go to play Toronto, you got to be vaccinated or you can't play.
Yeah, I think it's probably a lot of what Canada is doing anyway because it's kind of that way for everything. So this isn't surprising.
But does the NBA then add in extra roster spots for like G League players to be put on the roster if they have players who aren't vaccinated? So they have a full roster going to Toronto?
I think that would probably depend on how many players you're missing. Like if you're missing 3 to 4, then you probably start to do that. But if you're missing 1 or 2, I don't think that they do that. Maybe though, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, some of those guys that are signed to those 2-way contracts can get pulled up for the 1 game or however many games they're going to Toronto.
Yeah.
And then lastly, I don't know how much when we get into this, the Iman Shumpert deal at the Dallas airport.
I actually have no clue about this.
Oh, he was arrested at, I think it was the Dallas Fort Worth airport, Maine, with like over 6 ounces of weed, a gun magazine and something else.
Shouldn't get himself into trouble, I guess, would be my comment.
And then people were like, are the NBA players going to show as much support for him as the NBA and WNBA people have for Brittany Griner?
I think that would be dependent on what happens to Shumpert.
I'm going to guess he's not going to get 9 years in a Russian jail.
Wouldn't think so, no.
But I don't know. My issues, I don't know if we need to discuss the whole Brittany Griner deal because that's all politics.
Yeah, it's a little out of our range, certainly. But yeah, we'll see, I guess. I mean, I didn't even know about this at all, so who knows where this goes, but
that just shows ideal. Ethan's been living in a bubble lately.
That is correct, yes. We'll see, no doubt. All right. The NFL preseason technically underway with the Hall of Fame game last Thursday. A lot of injuries in training camp, though. The question is, or there's two questions. Does this lead to future veterans sitting out more time of training camp? Does turf have anything to do with it? I think you could say yes to both of these, but I also think that the veterans rest thing is something that's going to be more prevalent than the turf factor, which turf is definitely an issue in the NFL. Like,
people blew up after Odell tore his ACL in the Super Bowl.
And also think about all the different injuries that have happened at MetLife Stadium with that field.
Well, and then like turf toe.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that's not just – you can get that doing anything, not just being on turf, but –
I'm not an expert when it comes to this, but I will say if you have an outdoor stadium, you should not have turf at all. Like at all. Like, look at a field – Green Bay, natural, one of the better fields in the league. And then you look
natural.
And you look at other, like Chicago, terrible field. Like, that field is terrible. But it's not turf. So, I mean, I'm trying to think of other outdoor turf fields. I know, obviously, MetLife.
And what Arizona's grass, right? It's on a big, like, roll where it goes outside and then they roll it in.
I think so, yeah. But either way, I don't think any stadium should have turf. I don't think the players have to hate turf.
And what's Vegas's field?
I don't know. I'm going to look that up. That's Allegiant Stadium, right?
Yeah. I don't know if they did the whole roll thing like Arizona did.
I'm going to look up NFL stadiums with turf, artificial turf.
I mean, the Colts got to be one.
Colts, Cowboys,
Chargers,
Seahawks,
Rams,
Lions.
The Seahawks isn't even grass.
That's what this says.
I'm just thinking that's an outdoor field.
Yeah. The Ravens 6 years ago put natural grass in there. Natural grass, top of the line, they say. I don't think, like, turf is not good for your body at all. Kyle Juszczyk, the fullback, when he was with the Ravens, said that he's very pro natural grass. His knees feel better. So that's big news.
I mean, it's crushed rock mixed with sand and then just artificial turf with the little black pebbles all in it.
Falcons, artificial turf. Patriots, artificial turf. Colts, Saints, MetLife, Texans, the Bills, unless they've changed. This is from like 4 or 5 years ago. Bengals, I was going to say Bengals. Their grass looks a little bit weird. Minnesota has it as well. So it's about, I would say about maybe 18-14 natural grass turf. So it's definitely a factor, and it's not good for players below the waist. You also had the Lions rookie wide receiver first-round pick. Jamison Williams will wear number 9, so single-digit numbers. I think that makes you a better player.
It wasn't about single-digit. It's because who wore 9 before him.
Right, Matthew Stafford.
I mean, he got Stafford's number, which I'm surprised they didn't retire unless they're waiting until he actually retires.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird one. I mean, I don't know what Stafford thinks.
Well, that and then you give him that, and then say Stafford's done it for this year, and then they retire his number. Well, then does he have to switch because now he just sold all these jerseys with him at number 9,
Could, yeah.
and now you're going to tell him to change numbers?
It's definitely interesting.
But and then you had the issue with him and his arm, and them saying it's not with Stafford's arm, saying his injury is not like a normal football injury.
With the amount of shots he's taken and the amount of wear and tear on that arm, he doesn't seem like a quarterback that's going to play that much longer.
No, it was his rookie year when he dislocated it, and then the opposing team called a timeout, and he came back in and threw a pass to score, and then he was run to the sideline, like telling him it's out, it's out, it's out.
Yeah, I mean, he was beat up a lot in Detroit.
Which is issues right now with his elbow or whatever. Could also be from all the time he played baseball.
It's true as well.
And then you had your guy, Aaron Rodgers, with his ayahuasca or wherever you.
Yeah, I'm not even going to try. Ayahuasca, I think. I'm gonna go with no comment on this one. I think it could help us. I don't know. We'll see.
I mean, I saw some people said that Aaron Rodgers does this, Josh Gordon gets suspended for another year.
I mean, please tell me how that is performance enhancing. Is what I
No, they weren't saying it like Aaron Rodgers would get suspended. They were like joking. The NFL is just going to say, "Oh, Aaron Rodgers did this, so Josh Gordon's going to get a year ban."
Yeah. I also see people comparing the suspension, like Gordon's been suspended this many games for weed, and then Rodgers. I mean, it's not on their list that they test for, and I don't think he's doing it for a game. So,
no, I thought it was like a one-time deal, or like a couple times this offseason, or has this been like an ongoing thing over the years?
I think he has done it for a couple of years.
Because what is it actually?
DMT or some sort of hallucinogen drug. I don't know. It's a bit odd, but what can you do? Just keep playing solid football, and I'll be fine.
And then Roger Goodell says evidence proves for a full-year ban for Watson.
Yeah, I'm not surprised that the NFL has taken this stance on it. I think that's probably the right call from their perspective, but they have had a lot of mistakes in the past with how they've treated players and suspended them. Ray Rice being one of them.
Well, like we talked last week, how you had D-Hop getting a 6-game suspension. Who else was it we talked about? That? Calvin Ridley getting his 1 year, Josh Gordon getting multiple years. So is this like the final word, though, or is this just like it might be a 6-game, it could be a year, it could be in between?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how it's going to happen, but I know the NFL is going to fight against him for sure.
And then we had fantasy football still wrote down, but I mean, it's still hard to judge on that until
I would say
preseason games.
Yeah, and then I also think that once we have drafts, we'll be able to talk about that a lot more within the next few weeks. So we'll probably expand on that at some point. But I suppose we should probably throw it on over to the golf, where the FedEx Cup playoffs begin this week.
Yeah, the Wyndham Championship last week. The winner was Ju Young Kim.
Which goes by Tom Kim. But they also, they write that name on there, but I think he goes by Tom. I think there's certain graphics that I've seen that say Tom, so I don't know.
I mean, it probably goes back to, I don't know how many episodes, it was a while ago, where I wrote the guy's real name down. You're like, they don't even call him that. They're like, you asked me, where'd you even get this name at?
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit weird how they do that, but Tom Kim is only 20 years old, so he's really, he's been playing well for a while.
He won $1.3 million, shot 20 under. This weekend, you have the FedEx St. Jude Championship, defending champion Abraham Answer at TPC Southwind in Memphis, Tennessee.
Yeah, so this becomes the first leg of the FedEx Cup playoffs now. It was not that last season. So you pretty much have a different, way that they're going about this now, because you have the FedEx St. Jude into the BMW into the Tour, so no more Northern Trust. So the field's 125 players this week, 70 next week, and 30 for the Tour Championship. So they go from Memphis to Wilmington, Delaware, to Atlanta for East Lake, and Wilmington Country Club is next week for the BMW. So you also had the Live Golf lawsuit and attempt for like 3 players, Taylor Gooch, Matt Jones, and Hudson Swafford, I believe, trying to get into the FedEx Cup playoffs. They were denied, so no Live players in the field for the FedEx Cup playoffs. Top 125 in the standings get in. So probably a lot of opportunities for players that were ranked like 130 or 135. Now all these Live players are out of there, so they jump in.
Yeah.
So it's good for them. But we'll make our picks on that later. We'll throw it over now to college basketball / football, college sports in general. ESPN bowing out of the negotiations with the Big Ten for media rights. Big Ten will now be with Fox, NBC, and CBS on a big media rights deal. This is the first time in 40 years that Big Ten basketball and football aren't going to be on ESPN. So I think the Big Ten said something like 7 years, $300+ million, and ESPN said no. This is pretty significant. It's going to be weird to see the Big Ten on NBC more than CBS or Fox, because they are still occasionally on those networks anyway, for basketball at least. But weird to not see ESPN with the Big Ten.
Yeah, they also have their own channel, though, where they'll...
Yeah, they do have that. Well, that's more of a Fox thing anyway. But I'm reading this also. I believe ESPN has some sort of plan. They signed some other deal. So Big Ten sought 7 years, $380 million. ESPN didn't believe it was worth that much. ESPN televises. They before this deal, the current deal they had, ESPN televised 27 Big Ten football games. They would have only had 14 in the new deal. So, I mean, that's probably fairly not the worst move by ESPN in that regard, but I think they're doing something to replace the Big Ten with what they're losing.
Yeah, I mean, to pay $380 million to only have 14 games.
14 football games, but they do a ton of basketball for the Big Ten.
And then adding 2 more teams to the Big Ten, that would have just been more games.
Yeah.
So, and then you had Kentucky and Gonzaga signed a home-and-home series starting this year. I think this year is first Kentucky going to Gonzaga in November.
These will be good games. I mean, Kentucky, neither of these teams is ever afraid to have a hard non-conference, and this is just proof of that.
No, and Gonzaga needs more of these games.
I don't know if that's the case anymore, but it certainly was a few years ago, because I think everybody knows what Gonzaga is at this point. Like, they have the reputation of the highest of the high-end programs in the country. So I think that they at this point, they just kind of need a normal non-conference, like a few really hard games. Obviously, Gonzaga certainly wants to have a hard non-conference. I don't know if their full non-conference schedule is out yet, but I'm sure it's going to be hard. Let's just put it this way. They need it from the perspective of we need to play better teams to see where we're at, but they don't need it from the perspective of like the national, like what the belief or thoughts on Gonzaga are.
No, but I think this also helps too, where they're not playing always like the late games, where they get some primetime games where they're playing at 7 and such, where more people can watch them play not until like the tournament starts. And they're like, oh, now we can actually watch their games because it's not starting at 10 o'clock Central Time.
Yeah, that is correct. So Gonzaga, Michigan State, Baylor, Alabama, Kentucky, Washington, all on their non-conference right now. So I don't think that's as hard as last season, because last season they had like Texas Tech. I think they had
they played Duke.
Yeah, they had Duke. They lost to Duke in Vegas. They had who else? They had one other team that I'm forgetting. But, yeah. Michigan State is going to be good. Baylor is going to be good. Alabama, I would assume, is going to be good. Washington, you'd think they'd be better, but we'll see. Still a pretty difficult schedule.
It was Bama and Oklahoma that had all those transfers, right? They each got a bunch of transfers in after the season ended.
Oklahoma did, but I don't remember about Alabama.
Maybe Alabama only had a couple.
Yeah, I don't know. All right, let's shift over to Major League Baseball.
The Yankees, Matt Carpenter fractures his left foot on a foul ball.
I know he said he'll be back. I think he could probably play in October. I think 6 to 8 weeks. So you're looking at maybe be able to play a couple games at the very end of the season and then get ready for the postseason. But a big blow to a Yankees team that's already without Stanton and Rizzo right now and struggling a little bit. I know they're winning now. They were down 1-0. They're up 3-1 as we record against Seattle, but not good at all. Upset for Carpenter. Obviously, used to have his jersey back there. I don't even know what happened to that. Is it gone now? I guess it is. I don't know what happened to that, but yeah.
No, it looked like it caught him like right below the big toe, right on that fat knuckle.
And seeing him in St. Louis for as long as we did, he does do that a lot. He just caught it the wrong way this time.
Yeah. And then former Red Sox outfielder Jackie Bradley Jr. signs with the Blue Jays on a 1-year deal.
Yeah, I'd say Jackie Bradley Jr. is about as washed could be, probably. At this point.
And the Red Sox couldn't trade him, so after the trade deadline, they were just released him.
At some point when you can't hit at all and your only element is fielding and he's not that great of a fielder as he once was, he's still good, but it's just no value to almost anybody, especially if it's a team that's trying to somewhat win. I don't know if I can say that about the Red Sox. They've been horrendous, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a really good fit for him would have been like the Angels or somewhere where he could still run the outfield, and then like when Ohtani pitched, he would DH for Bradley, right?
Yeah, I could see the Phillies wouldn't have been that bad of a fit given the fact that their outfield defense their defense in general is terrible, but like Harper's only going to DH when he gets back, so your corner outfield is Schwarber and Castellanos.
And I think I read that he did return or is returning like tonight or tomorrow, but he will only be able to DH.
Yeah. He has that injury that he was already dealing with before his elbow injury, and now he had the hand or the wrist. So yeah, I don't think he could probably even throw very much right now.
And then you had the Diaz brothers have reunion last night as the Reds visit the Mets. Edwin Diaz of the Mets, 28. The rookie reliever Alexis Diaz, 25 of the Reds. They exchanged lineup cards. They did this on the 4th of July, but I don't think their parents were there. But both parents were able to be at the game last night, and they had like the split jerseys, which the parents said they got the idea of when Edwin last year was on the Mariners between the Seager brothers. Their parents did that.
So the parents didn't want to go to Cincinnati? Is that what I'm getting at here? They went to the game in New York, but not Cincinnati. I mean, how much do they want to be at the game?
I don't,
It's tough luck.
Everyone now is blowing up on the Diaz entrance. It's like he's been doing it all year.
Well, I think it helps that he's like back to being as dominant as he was in Seattle.
I mean, it is a pretty good entrance.
Oh, yeah, I like it a lot. I retweeted the video of it, and especially that camera that they did of it on Sunday. SNY did that, so that was pretty sweet.
The song's called like Narco by somebody in Timmy Trumpet.
Yeah. All right. The Chicago Cubs are parting ways with Jason Hayward at the end of this season, which to that I say the Cardinals dodged a bullet that he didn't want to return on that deal that they offered him. So that's pretty much my comment on that. I know he was a big part of them winning the World Series, but he has been overall, you look at the life of that contract, he has been not even close to being worth it.
Ever since he left Atlanta, his hitting just went.
Well, he was in St. Louis. He was good. Like I think he batted .292 or something that season. But Chicago is really where it fell off.
Ever since Atlanta is just slowly getting worse and worse.
Yeah, I'm trying to look here at his early stats with the Cubs, maybe his first couple
Which I know
years.
he didn't want to leave Atlanta because he's from there. He was drafted there.
He batted 293 with the Cardinals. His best season with the Cubs was probably, I mean, he batted 270 in 2018, but only 8 homers. And then I'd say his best season was batting 251 with 21 homers in 2019. So just has had no power at all. Yeah, not great.
No, he's an average fielder.
His best ever season was his first season. Like, that is kind of insane to me.
Yeah, his rookie year in Atlanta.
Yeah, that was his best season.
I think it was like the first or second pitch he saw, he took yard.
That was when they were still playing at Turner Field, which was an absolute dump. But anyway, Shohei Ohtani homers and gets the win, ties Babe Ruth in 1918 as only men in MLB history with 10 wins and 10 homers in the same season. 2 players in the Negro Leagues did it. My font on this paper is not looking too good. I can barely read this.
Bullet Rogan in 1922, the Kansas City Monarchs, and Ed Ryle, 1927, for the Detroit Stars.
I think something that's very interesting to do is looking through like Negro League stats. I think that museum in Kansas City is something that people need to check out. It's pretty cool. But yeah, it's definitely interesting all the different things that could have been if they weren't in the situation that they were in. So before Jackie Robinson, of course. But now we go to Player of the Week, where we have the same.
First, you had the Pirates' second baseman Rodolfo Castro's phone.
Yeah.
Sliding out of his back pocket as he slid first into third base.
It's a bit of a violation, I would think.
He had third base up, come up smiling, looking at him and pointing down and telling him his phone's on the ground. Like, I didn't think that could leave the clubhouse, and he was able to bring it on the field.
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to get in trouble for that, but he could.
I would think you have to, because you could be either watching like a live feed of the game from the network perspective, seeing like the signals.
That's true.
Then knowing like when you're up, when the catcher moves to a certain position, what pitch is coming.
That's pretty deceptive. But I don't think he would do that.
No, but I mean, you have to think he's got to get in trouble because of that possibility.
Yeah, that's true. All right, Player of the Week. We had the same, and I have a good reason for why I did this, but I'll let you.
I changed mine.
Okay, I didn't see that. I already printed before, so. All right, go ahead.
I took the Mets second baseman Jeff McNeil, 12 for 30, 6 runs, 4 doubles, 2 home runs, 5 RBIs.
So we doubled up in the Mets. I went with Lindor, 10 for 28, 9 runs, 1 double, 1 homer, 5 RBIs, 5 walks. The big reason why I went with Lindor is I feel like he led the charge for the Mets winning 4 out of 5 and having a huge lead in the East over the Braves now. I think that was significant, being that he was pretty much one of their better players and came up with a lot of big hits in that series. So got to be Lindor for me.
Yeah, which I had Lindor, and then he told me that he had him, so I didn't want to have the same player.
Thought it would have been, a nice touch for the show. But moving along, the NHL, the Anaheim Ducks signed defenseman John Klingberg to a 1-year deal. Probably a deal for him to see how he plays and then reassess the market. He was once a player that was thought of to get a huge deal at some point. Wasn't that great in Dallas the last couple of seasons, so just a good veteran addition. Can probably run the power play for Anaheim, even though they do have Jamie Drysdale there for that, so I don't know how much he's going to factor into that, but just a solid deal.
Everyone thought the Boston was going to trade for him last year.
Yeah, I also had a feeling that Dallas would possibly re-sign him, but they didn't. They tried, but I would assume that if I had to guess, I would say Dallas was offering more term than Anaheim with less money. take the 1-year deal, reassess the market, see how you feel. Even though this was a pretty weak defensive market, so I think if he was going to get a good deal, it might have been this year. But what can you do?
And then the Bruins ink Berge and Krejci to 1-year deals. So, I mean, you have to think, like you talked about last week, was Krejci's big deal with Cassidy?
I think that could be a valid point to bring up. I mean,
Berge got $2.5 million with up to $2.5 million in incentives. Krejci gets $1 million with potential for $2 million more in incentives.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I mean, Bergeron's fourth on the franchise all-time scoring list with 982 points. Krejci is ninth with 730.
Yeah, I mean, the Cassidy thing could be legit, given that they both, or Bergeron was thinking about retiring, then returns and Krejci comes back. I don't know. I don't want to read too much into it because we don't really know. But
I mean, Berge's 37, Krejci's 36. They were both drafted by Boston.
Probably the last hoorah for both of them. I don't know how the team's going to be this season. They kind of seem like a hit or miss. Like they could miss the playoffs, could make it, but I don't know. All right, let's shift over to the picks for the week. FedEx Cup Championships where we'll start, but I was 1-4 last week. I don't even want to talk about it. I mean, the only game I won was the Cardinals game. I didn't pick them this week.
I was 1-4 also, and I only won the Blue Jays over the Twins.
Had nothing in golf, not even close in golf.
No, I had my winners were the only guys that made the cut. They tied for 21st, tied for 27th, and tied for 76th. Varner got cut, Streelman was cut, and Kisner withdrew after day one. And there was 8 players that withdrew from the tournament.
Yeah, no, this is kind of a throwaway tournament that most people don't care about at this point, especially when it's the week before the FedEx Cup playoffs begin. I think you play the week before, and you're kind of like all set, ready to go. But, yeah, which would be the Rocket Mortgage.
Yeah, I mean, again, Kisner shot 3 over on the first day, so you might have been like, yeah, I'm out of here.
Yeah, get ready for the next few weekends.
I'm going home. I probably only live like a couple hours away from here in North Carolina. Let me just pack my bags and I'll just drive home right now.
Yep. Seems like could have been the case. All right. What do you got? FedEx St. Jude Championship from TPC Southwind.
To win, I have Rory at plus 900, Patrick Cantlay plus 1,400, Tony Finau plus 2,000. Top 5, Colin Morikawa at plus 700. Matthew Fitzpatrick at top 10 at plus 150. And top 20, haven't seen this guy's name in a while, John Rahm at minus 110. That's what I have.
Yeah, I got a weird feeling about Rahm having a good week here. He's I got him plus 2,000 to win. I got Scheffler plus 1,400 to win. And like I said, Davis Riley every week plus 10,000. He's going to win at some point. Probably not over the next 3 weeks, but I'm going to take it here. I don't care. Finau, top 5. He won the Northern Trust last year. He's won twice in the last 3 weeks. Playing well, plus 400 to finish top 5. I got to take our guys, Jordan Spieth, plus 275, top 10, and Max Homa, plus 190, top 20. They're playing together in the feature group, I believe. So got to take them, no doubt about it. Baseball.
I got the White Sox minus 165 over the Royals. The Diamondbacks minus 165 over the Pirates. The Red Sox minus 135 over the Orioles. The Guardians minus 165 over the Tigers. And then the Field of Dream game, I got the Cubs minus 105 over the Pirates.
It's the Reds.
Or the Reds, I mean.
Yeah. I am taking the Pirates tomorrow, plus 140 against the Diamondbacks. Give me the Phillies minus 165 against the Marlins. The Orioles plus 115 at the Red Sox. White Sox minus 180 at the Royals. And the Reds minus 115 against the Cubs in the Field of Dreams game, which I don't know why the Cubs are getting rewarded for being an absolute terrible, cheap franchise over the last few years. They get the Field of Dreams this year and the London games next year, so we're rewarding that. But whatever, it's Rob Manfred. What do you expect? He's terrible at his job.
Who had the Field of Dream game last year?
White Sox, Yankees. I thought it was going to be Cardinals Cubs. I'm surprised they put the Reds in there, but might as well throw the Reds a bone. They are a classic franchise. I know they're terrible, but they're a classic franchise. So
And I haven't seen the uniforms, but supposedly they're supposed to be really neat.
They're
and
similar
to the Field of Dream jerseys.
Yeah, they're also similar to each other. Like the C for both is kind of like similar, close to the Bears and Reds shape of the C for both uniforms. So we'll see what it looks like on the field. I think they'll look fine. I think it's hard to screw that up, but we will see. That game is tomorrow, so we'll find out then. I'm sure it'll be a doozy of a game with a couple of teams that are like a combined 800 games under 500. That'll be a fun one for everybody. But we'll see you next week for the 73rd edition of the Sports Mashup. We'll see you next Wednesday.